المستعان. Sorry, Ikhwan, I just had an accident. Did you tell them, Farasan? Did you tell them? Just before I came here, I just arrived. Just somebody hit me and ran off. And I just chased him up for about 10 minutes. Calling the police, please do nothing. Just go home, report it. You don't feel safe in this country. What annoys me is the police, they don't know nothing. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Tonight is the third night of Jumad al-Akhirah 1445 and it's the 2nd of December 2023. We are in the last episode from a set of 3 regarding the history behind the deviant sects. This one, inshallah, we will conclude our talk. First, we want to talk about the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which says that the Jews had split into 71, all of them in hell except for one. And the Christians split into 72, all of them are in hell except for one. And of course, these ones are the followers of their prophets. And then my ummah, he said, will split into 73, even more than the Christians and the Jew, all of them in hell except for one. He was asked, the Prophet ﷺ, who are those ones? So he said, they are the ones who I'm upon today and my companions. Another narration, he said, the jama'ah, the group. So now when we have 73, 72 in hell, and the 73rd is in paradise, it is, I would say, difficult to limit the groups into 73. I mean, to say that this is the number or these are the 73 groups. Because the foundation of these groups does not reach to that number. And the scholars had differed in the way that they count the groups, how to count them. And some of them, they counted the major ones are to be numbered, but he did not count the ones which are branched from them are to be numbered or accounted for. Same thing here, some other scholars, they had accounted for everything, whether it is the origin or the branch. So if we count with the branches, sometimes we'll arrive to more than 73. So we say that also the parties of the firaq the Jama'at, we don't have a time for them. Okay, we do not have a time for them. When did they come out? Because the Prophet ﷺ did not give us the end of when this ummah will stop splitting. So we say that this hadith is just telling us that the ummah of the Prophet of Allah, it will split without specifying a time. And that is why we should not really give a time for it. We don't know when the split is gonna stop. And the counting is supposed to be in every era, regardless of whether this number is going to reach the 73 groups or not. Okay, because we believe that that number will be reached somehow, as the Prophet of Allah told us. So let's just ask ourselves the first thing, which is, who is the 73rd, or the group which is the Naji, that got the one salvation? Firqatun Naji. Scholars had differed. What is the Naji? What is the thing that makes this firqa is to be the saved sect? So who are these saved sect? Some, they said, it's the majority of the people who are from Ahl al-Islam, Muslims. And some of them, they said, the scholars who are mujtahidun, the ones whom the Prophet ﷺ said about, that my ummah will never be consensus or agreeing on something which is misguidance. The third, they said, another opinion, that these are the special companions of the Prophet ﷺ, whom the Prophet of Allah said, the group, which is the saved sect, are upon what I am upon today and my companions. The fourth saying, that it is a particular group from the Muslims whom they have had an amir, a leader. The last one, which is the correct one, this is that a group which we don't know the number of theirs, we don't know their countries where they come from. Prophet ﷺ, he told us that they are upon the haqq until the day of resurrection. And this is you could say, the correct opinion. So he who had held on the book of Allah, the sunnah of the Prophet of Allah, according to those companions, according to the Salaf, those are the ones who are the saved sect. When the Prophet ﷺ, he said, and he was asked, and he said, Man kana ala mithli ma ana alayh, what I was upon today and my ashab. And another narration, he said, al-jama'ah. So if you look, that you see, the firqa najiyah is, as Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, they are the Ahlul Sunnah. Ahlul Sunnati, the ones who are upon the Sunnah. And that the Sunnah is in the middle between all the sects which are deviant, just like the Islam is a median, or a sect, which is a religion between all other deviant religions. So the asl, or the foundation that we should build upon, in which the group is to be the group of the saved sect or it is not, is how much they follow the Quran and the Sunnah. But us to say that particular group is, or particular partisan is from those 72 sects which are deviant, this shouldn't be done. But we have some scholars, they have at the time, at the beginning, like for example Abdullah ibn Mubarak and Yusuf ibn Asbat, two great imams, they have said that the bid'ah comes from four. And he said, al-Rawafid, al-Khawarij, al-Qadariyah, al-Murji'ah. So al-Rawafid, they are the founders of all the firaq, they said. Al-Rawafid, al-Khawarij, al-Qadariyah, al-Murji'ah. So these are the four from which had emerged the rest. And when Ibn al-Mubarak was asked, what about the Jahmiyyah? He said, they are not from Ummat Muhammad. So this is the well-known division of the scholars. So they are dividing the groups into 4 or 5, counting the Jahmiyyah along with them. Now, you could see here that those 4 or 5, depending upon, some scholars, they said these 5, that means each one will branch 18. By 12. If there are 4, they will branch 18. 4 multiplied by 18 becomes 72. We say, the scholars who are correct, they say that we cannot really make the groups, or each one has the same branches. Some of them have more. Like we know, for example, that the Firqat al-Rawafid, Shia, they have much more than 12 and 4. We have lots of them inside the Shia. Now, when the Prophet ﷺ said, all of it is in hellfire except for one, what does that mean? All of it in hellfire. Well, first, that these will be under the threat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they are just like the people of Ahl Kabair. And we are not supposed to specify, the ones who are not saved and to say that they are from the people of hell. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he had given general. He did not specify, except for few like Al-Khawarij. He said about the Khawarij, يَمْرُقُونَ مِنَ الدِّينِ كَمَا يَمْرُقُ السَّهْمُ مِنَ الرَّمِيَّةِ. They are the dogs of hellfire. They will pass through the religion like the arrow passes the game. Okay? So some of those firaq, we cannot even describe them from the 72 because they are away from Islam. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, تَفْتَرِقُ أُمَّتِي. My ummah is the one who's going to split. So like, for example, al-firaq al-batiniyya, like the Ismailiyya, okay, those are not from the Muslims. Because as I said, they are batiniyya and the Islam is nothing to do with them. So the scholars' methodology in counting the firaq, they don't have a rule through which is a common rule. This is the way that we should divide the groups. They don't have a common principle or an equation by which they say this is the way we're going to divide the Muslim into those 72 or 73 groups. So to have an attempt to do so, that is, I would say, overburdening the person, which is not, it's going to be giving us a correct consequences. So we find, for example, that the firaq, they are still emerging even after the books who had classified those 72. For example, the Sufis. The Sufis came after some of the books who had mentioned the Mu'tazila, the Jahmiyyah, the Khawarij, Al-Rawafid, okay, Al-Mu'tazila. So those being mentioned, the 5 groups, those books, after them, they came the Sufiya. Sufiya, there are more than 60 parts, even in Egypt, there are more than 60 sects inside the Sufiya. So we can't say that the group methodology counting is there for us to say this is how we're going to divide the groups. Allahu A'lam. So that's why Shahrastani, rahimahullah, he says, know that those people who had some ways of counting the groups, they don't have a specific law by which you could do that. We don't have a specific law. But so some of those scholars who had tried to count those firaq, Ibn al-Jawzi, rahimahullah, and he had said that the foundation of the firaq, and he added 6. He said al-Khawarij, Haruriyya, al-Qadariyya, al-Jahmiyya, al-Murji'a, al-Rafida, wal-Jabriyya. He gave 6 now instead of 5 and instead of 4. So we have other scholars. They had an attempt, for example, is Farayini, al-Baghdadi, al-Farq bin al-Firaq. All of those, they have tried to divide or name those 72 groups. Now, when you say kulluha fi nar, all of it in the hellfire, okay, even though the Ummah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the best of okay, how can we reconcile that when we know the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that half of Jannah is my ummah? Even another hadith, he said the Jannah is 2 rows or 120 rows. 80 rows from them is from my ummah, and that makes us 2/3. So if the Ummah Muhammad is 2/3 of Ahlul Jannah, how can it be that the 72 out of the 73 are to be in hell except for 1? Do you understand me? Some people think that, well, there's here some sort of contradiction. When we know that the Prophet of Allah, he said 2/3 of the Jannah are from Ummah Muhammad. Yet the Prophet of Allah, he said that this Ummah will split into 73, 72 in hell and 1 in paradise. How can we resolve this sort of, looking like there is a contradiction here? Well, we say that the Ummah is of 2 types or 2 groups. The majority, which is the layman, majority. And those are the Sunnah. And then the specific one. Those specific one or special ones, some of them, they are Ahlul Bid'ah, and they call to their Bid'ah. And they have people who follow them and champion their ideologies. Some of them who, they're not Ahlul Bid'ah, but they are synchronizing with the Bid'ah, even though inside themselves they believe in the Haqq. Some of them that they are not from the scholars, and They know some of the bid'ah, they know some of the haqq, they memorize some of the ideologies which are from the incorrect or deviant ideologies, and also from the batil. So those are the ones, they're not like these scholars, the proper ones. And we say, so that means Ahlul Khassa, from them as well, people who are following the Quran and the Sunnah upon the methodology of those companions. So if we look now, we have the majority and we have four categories of the specific, of the special ones. So if we look here, the ones that maybe that we could really specify, the ones who are going to be from the 72, number one group, which are the innovators, the ones who call to their bid'ah. And also the other two, which is number two, is the one that imitate them, and yet they believe in the haqq. And the third one, which they have batil and haqq in them. So those are one group, and one group which is small from the specific, one part of the specific, and also some of the parts of the other two as well. Yet the fourth one is in Jannah. This is the saved sect. And if you look, Allah Azza wa Jal also with His mercy, He's going to encompass even those who are from the second and the third group. He might also will encompass His mercy some of those who are calling to the bid'ah, and there is no scholar who is to say that to them that you are a mubtada'. So we end here, we say that majority of the people of Muslims are from Ahl Sunnah. And that's resolved now the query or the contradiction that came to the head. So most of this saved sect in terms of number wise is much, much more than the number of those 72 who have been threatened to be from the people of hellfire. Now, some of the names are being given to those saved sects: Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, Salaf al-Salih, Al-Firqatu al-Najiyah, Ahlul Hadith, Ahlul Athar, والطائفة المنصورة. All these names are names for the saved sect. I can repeat: أهل السنة والجماعة، السلف الصالح، الفرقة الناجية، أهل الحديث والسنة، وأهل الأثر، والطائفة المنصورة. As for the names being given to Ahl Sunnah, the saved sect, by the people of deviance, to call them some sort of bad names, they call them, for example, Al-Mushabbiha. And that is the Jahmiyyah. They call Ahl Sunnah Al-Mushabbiha, the ones who give similarity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His names and His attributes. And also Al-Hashawiyya, and that is the people of Mu'tazila. And also Al-Khawarij, they call us Hashawiyya. Hashawiyya, that means we are putting something, we make it like a three-dimension of Allah Azza wa Jal. And the third one, which are they calling us Al-Mujabbira. So the Qadariyya call us the ones who are Mujabbira. That means we are saying that the people are being forced to do what they want. Being forced to do what they want. We don't say that, of course. And another name being given to the people of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, An-Nawasib, which is being given by Al-Rafidah. An-Nawasib, which have enmity towards the family of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. A fifth name, also Al-Mujassima. Al-Mujassima being given by the Asha'ira and the Maturidiyya. Mujassima, that means anthropomorphism, meaning that you're giving like a similarity to Allah to a body. And the last one, which is Wahhabiyya or Najdiyya, being given to us by the Brelwis and the Sufiyya. Now we come into some of the sects. We start with the biggest one. And the biggest one, no doubt about it, is the Asha'ira. Al-Asha'ira. Al-Asha'ira. And I don't want to go more than 45 minutes. What time is now? We started, by the way? What time do we start? 8:30. So we still. Al-Asha'ira. Al-Asha'ira is one of the Kalam. Kalam, firqa, people of Kalam. Speech, you call it in English? Speech, Kalam. And it's the biggest group. And it attributes itself to Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari, who died 324 after Hijrah. So it's in the 4th century when he died. This is a group that emerged in the 4th century and afterwards. Its roots started with some sort of dispute and quarrel in speech and using the intellect, which the Imam Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari took it from Ibn Kullab, Sa'id ibn Kullab, which we talked about in the, I think, the first or maybe the second episode of this 3 episodes class. And it's all of it to do about Kalamullah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the words of Allah. and also his af'al, which is al-ikhtiyariya, what his actions. And also they say al-kasb. What is al-kasb? Nadariyatul kasb. Kasb means earning. Al-kasb, according to the Ash'ari, is that the ability of the person is linked to his action, but without any effect. So when you raise up the mobile, you have an ability, okay, and also an action, a will and action. But that will of yours, it hasn't got any effect. But Allah Azza wa Jal will create the action when this ability goes with the thing that you want to move. So this is actually same thing when they said about Kalamullah Azza wa Jal, and they wanted to refute the Mu'tazila. They said, we don't say Kalamullah is created, but we say it is Kalam. It is like it looks like the speech, but it is inside. So the inside of the person, what do you call them? Huh? The internal speech, huh? Yeah, eternal and internal as well. Internal, yeah. The internal speech of the person, that's Kalamullah. That's why the scholars had named the Ash'ari to be Mukhannatha. Mukhannathatul Mu'tazila. Mukhannatha means a human being which has got two private parts, male and a female. So we don't know where is he. So we don't know, are they Mu'tazila or they're not Mu'tazila? So they're fluctuating. So when they say the Mu'tazila, that Quran is not Kalamullah, they said, no, we refute you, but we say it is ibara. It's supposed to be representing the words of Allah. But the words of Allah is internal or eternal, actually. Dr. Farasati said. So it is, it is not really, you're not like this or like that. They're not 100% with the Sunnah, and they're not 100% with the Mu'tazila. Same thing when it came here, that we, as Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah, I would say, we have a will, and that will is the one that will have the effect for the action. So we say we are the ones who have the will, and we create. Do you understand? We have the will, and we have the power, and to do the actions. But the Mu'tazila, they have said the other way around. They said the person, he creates his own actions. The person, so this has nothing to do with Allah. Allah does not create it. But we say Allah created my power, created my will, and He gave me the power and the will to decide to do. So my creation is created by Allah Azza wa Jal. Those, because they want to keep away from making Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creating the evil, they say, well, we don't say Allah create evil. So you are the one who creates your action. So they have made two gods, God of the good and the God of the bad. So when they said you create your own action, they saying this to say that Allah does not have anything to do with your actions. Do you understand that? Got nothing to do with your actions. So you steal, it's you to blame. Allah did not, it's not the will of Allah for you to steal. So your will is bigger and more powerful than the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. Whereas the Ash'ari, they said, no. We don't say that he creates his own action. But we say that he's got a power and he's got a will and action, but his power is not mu'athir. It's not really the one that made the action to do. It's actually Allah created it when you have the power. So it's in between. They're not really clear. Ahlul Sunnah, and they're not clear from the Mu'tazila. That's why they call them Al-Mukhannatha. They're not really this or that. Also, these are the people who had come, Al-Sha'ira, when there was a dispute amongst the ones who are saying you are majboor, you're being forced to do what you do, like the Jahmiyyah, and Al-Irja', like the Mu'tazila, the one you say that you create your own actions. And then it got developed more and more until in the 8th century, okay, it was known to be not just firqa kalamiyya, it's actually firqa aqlaniyya, philosophers, intellectual, and also to do with the graves, it linked itself to the graves, and they've got murji'ah and chabriya, the opposite, which is murji'ah, the one who does not believe that their iman goes up and down, or they don't believe that the person the iman is comprised of three things, and the Jabriya who says that the person who has no power, Allah does everything and he's got no will. So this is the Ash'ari in general. The Ash'ari are linked to Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari. Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari, he has three phases that he passed through. First one, which was Mu'tazila. And that was because of his Sheikh Abu Ali al-Jibba'i. Abu Ali al-Jibba'i is you could say the stepfather of his. He's the husband of his mother. And he was a Mu'tazili, Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari, until he was 40 years old. Then he left the Mu'tazila because he couldn't find some answers regarding some issues. Or it could be said that he had seen a dream of the Prophet ﷺ in which he was narrating the creeds of the Islam by narrations, not by intellect. Because remember, al-Musha'ira, everything is to do with Ahl al-Kalam, intellectual. So that's why he said that I need to depend upon naql, not aql, upon the text, قال Allah, قال رسوله. And that was the time when he left the madhab of his sheikh, the Mu'tazili, and he went to the second stage, and that is the stage of Sa'id ibn Kullab. Sa'id ibn Mansur ibn Kullab. This Kullab, the Abu Hassan, he took from him. And this Ibn Kullab, he came in a time where the people are Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. They are affirming the names and the attributes and all the attributes, whether the essence one or the action one, whether the speech or descending or ascending, all these things they attribute, they affirm it, which is Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And the Jahmiyyah, which they deny all of that. So he came at that time when the people are two groups. So Ibn Kullab, he came to refute the Jahmi, and at the same time, he is not from Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. He said that the essence attributes, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hears, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees, even there is something there. It's not 100%. But in general, hears and he sees, he had affirmed those attributes because it's to do with the essence of Allah's attributes. But when it comes to the actions, Allah came, وَجَاءَ رَبُّكَ, Allah ascends, descends, all of that, he denied them, did not believe in them. And this is the second marhala, the second stage, which you could say the book of Al-Luma' fi al-Radd ala Ahl al-Saygh wal-Bid'ah, the book of Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari, represent Abu al-Hasan in his second stage when he was on the manhaj of Ibn Kullab, which the people of the Ash'ari, they attribute themselves to Abu al-Hasan when he was at that stage. So they are Kullabiyya. Al-Ash'ari, they are Kullabiyya. They are at that stage. And they deny the third stage. I don't have time to prove that he was on the third stage. They deny the third stage when he had made 3 books or letters. Risala li Ahl al-Thaghr. Ahl al-Thaghr, the ones who are in the people who are after jihad, they are defending the place. So he had sent them as well his Aqidah. Also Kitab al-Ibana. Al-Ibana, also in which he had affirmed his Aqidah. And the third one, Kitab al-Ash'ariyin. Those, Maqarat al-Islamiyin. Those are the 3 through which we could say that he was on the third stage of his life. He was on the madhab of Imam Ahmad. Madhab Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Madhab Imam Ahmad in his i'tiqad, in his aqidah. Maybe there are other issues other than the aqidah, but the most important thing is the aqidah that would classify the person. He is Ash'ari, he is Maturidi, he is so on and so forth. From the reason that made him to go to Ahl Sunnah and abandon the stage when he was Ibn Kullab is that he had met the Muhaddith al-Basra. He met the Basra scholar, the Muhaddith, his name is Zakaria Saji. This person whom Imam al-Dhahabi had praised, and he said he was the Shaykh al-Basra wa hafidhuha, the one who used to memorize. And from him, Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari took the hadith, and also he adopted the Ahl Sunnah madhab. Now, Ash'ari, they came, and they are, as I said, part from the groups of Kalam. speech. And we need to make sure that we understand how this kalam started and how and when. When did it start, this kalam al-kalam? So we want to know about the circumstances, how this ilm al-kalam had emerged. Because most of the firaq and attributes, save some few, they attribute themselves to al-firaq al-kalamiyya. Maturidiyya, al-kalam. Sha'ira, al-kalam. Even the Rawafid, al-kalam. So all of them, they are attribute themselves, except for the Khawarij. They are the opposite. So, ilm al-kalam. Ilm al-kalam, what is it? The knowledge of kalam. That means you are affirming some aqa'id through intellects more than through the text. So you're proving Allah's oneness through intellect, aql. Okay? Adilla al-aqliyah. So Sheikh Hassan Khan, he says that these people, they depend upon something called at-tahsin wa at-taqbih. What they believe is good and what they believe is ugly, no good. Tahsin wa at-taqbih. So these are the people use al-aql. And it was named ilm al-kalam, science of speech, I don't call it knowledge of speech, because of number of reasons. Number one is that the kalam is the most, you could say, strongest thing that this knowledge is based upon. Okay? So when it talks about khalq al-Quran, the speech of the Quran, is it, they say, the speech of Allah, or is it created by Allah Azza wa Jal? Mu'tazila, of course, they said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the Quran. So they have denied the speech of Allah. Because of that, they have been called Ahlul Kalam. Also, some of them, they said that they are all the time keen to search into the philosophy and the kalam, not into qala Allah, qala Rasuluh. That's why the Ahlul Kalam, they were called Ilmul Kalam. How did it emerge? If you look, they will see the Aqidah had started at the end of the era of the companions. Okay? Yet, we don't have the final image of this Ilmul Kalam, but it started at that time. Okay? So these people, you could say, started from that day, and then it started to develop, and it takes more shape for this Ahlul Kalam. Here we find the Imam Muslim narrates for us from Yahya ibn Ya'mar, قال, the first person who spoke in the qadar. Qadar means the decree. A person in Basra called Ma'bad al-Juhani. So he said, me and Humayd ibn Abdul Rahman al-Himyari, both from the era of the followers, we went Umrah. So we said, if we just meet one of the companions of the Prophet of Allah, we could ask him about what these people, they claim and say. That is Ma'bad al-Juhani. So we met, alhamdulillah, Abdullah ibn Umar, radiyallahu anhuma. And he was entering the masjid. So me and my companion, we were on both sides. One in the right and one on the left. And I thought my friend is going to let me speak. So I started saying, Abu Abdul Rahman, which is the kunya of Abdullah ibn Umar. Already there are some people had emerged. They recite the Quran. And at the same time, they seek the knowledge. And he mentioned some of that, things that they do. And then he said, and they claim that there is no fate, no decree. It's what you do. And the amr unuf, meaning that it's just, whenever you start something, it is just there, and then it wasn't being documented before. It is not in the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said to them, if you meet these people, tell them I've got nothing to do with you. And they are nothing to do with me. I'm not nothing to do with them, nor they have got nothing to do with me. By the one whom Abdullah ibn Umar makes an oath with, meaning Allah. If one of them is to have, like the Uhud in gold, in terms of weight-wise, and he spends it for charity, it will not be accepted by Allah until he believes in the qadr, until he believes in the decree. And then he gave us the hadith, which is the hadith of Jibreel, the long one, the hadith of Jibreel, of Ihsan, al-Iman, al-Islam, okay, and the Sa'ah, and the hour. So this is the first time when Ahlul Kalam had emerged. Ma'bad al-Juhani talking into the qadr. And also, some of the scholars, they said that the Ma'bad al-Juhani and there is Ghaylan al-Dimashqi, well-known names, and Yunus al-Aswari. But these two names, Ma'bad wa Ghaylan, okay, those are the ones who had denied to give khair and shar to the qadr. We know, we believe in the qadr, khayrihi wa sharrihi, the evil of it and the good of it. But he denied that, which is the sixth pillar of Iman. Then emerged after that, which is at the time of Imam Ahmad, the saying of Khalq al-Quran. Khalq al-Quran means the Quran is to be created. And also the denial of the attributes of Allah. And this one was at the time of Al-Ja'd ibn Dirham. Yeah, Ibn Kathir, he says, Al-Ja'd ibn Dirham, he was from the people of Sham. And he was the person who's the teacher of Marwan al-Himar. Marwan Muhammad, he was the last king of Banu Umayyah. And that's why he was called even Marwan al-Ja'di. So, because he was attributed to his sheikh. So this person, he is the sheikh of Al-Jahm ibn Safwan. Al-Jahm ibn Dirham is the sheikh of Al-Jahm ibn Safwan. And for Jahm ibn Safwan is the Jahmiyyah as attributed to them. So these are the ones who say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with his essence everywhere. That's why Imam Abdullah ibn Barak, he said, they're not Muslims. Because when you say Allah is everywhere, they're kafir. So Imam al-Bukhari, rahimahullah, he narrates for us in his book, Khalq wa Af'al al-Ibad, that Khalid ibn Abdullah al-Qasri, he was in Wasit on the day of Al-Adha, and he was the mayor, and he gave a khutbah. He said, go back and make your sacrificial, may Allah accept it from you, for verily my sacrificial will be Al-Ja'd ibn Dirham. Because he had claimed that Allah Azza wa Jal did not take Ibrahim alayhi salam as a Khalil, nor he spoke to Musa alayhi salam. May Allah be absolved from what he says. This is the jail. Then he went down and he had slaughtered Al-Ja'd ibn Dirham. In the opposite of the extremism of the Khawarij, there was the Murji'ah. And also the speech regarding the Iman. So the speech, the Kalam, came out from the Irja'. And that is to take out the actions from the definition of Iman. Iman for us, the heart, and the tongue, and the actions. The heart, which is our hearts, the saying of the heart, which is belief, and also the actions of the heart, which is the love and the acceptance and al-inaba wal-khushu, submissiveness, and the love, all of that from the action of the heart. And also the actions of the limbs and the saying of the tongue. We don't say the actions of the tongue, the saying of the tongue and the action of the limbs. That's Iman for us. Those people, they said, no. The actions, okay, is not part of it. So any person who says action is part of the Iman, then he is not murji. And 100% who he says that Iman comprises the creed, the belief in the heart and the tongue and the actions, and he believes. This is the first one. And from this emerges that believes that Iman goes up and down. So if you believe the actions is part of the Iman, and the actions vary from one person to another, that means the Iman, the strength of it varies from one another. So it entails the second issue, which is that is Iman goes up and down. If you are saying this, you're not murji'ah. These two things. Okay? So I'll repeat again. Al-Iman, as they call it, the five noons. The five noons. As Ibn Qayyim rahmatullah, he said. Five noons. قال إيمان بالجنان. And that is the belief in the heart. وقول باللسان. The saying of the tongue. وعمل بالجوارح والأركان. And the actions of the limbs. قال يزيد بطاعة الرحمن وينقص بمعصية وبطاعة الشيطان. It will increase by the obedience of Allah and it will decrease by the obedience of the shaitan. Those are the five noons comprises the Iman. طيب. We have, as I said, the Khawarij. They have merged with their saying. So Iman does not increase, does not go up and down. Okay? The Khawarij, for the Murji, Khawarij, they said any actions will take you outside for the Iman. So they put the actions as a condition for the Iman. So if you have done a sin, then you are a kafir. That's Khawarij. On the other side, the Murji'ah, they said there is no harm on your iman if you have done sins. If your iman is in your heart and you have done whatever sins you've done, your iman is the same. And the common thing between the Khawarij and the Murji'ah is that the iman does not go up and down. But one attributes the actions to the iman, and the other one negates. The action is not part of the iman. You understand me? But they've got the same common things. Iman does not go up and down. It's a lump, one lump. Either it's there or it's not there. So the Murji, he would say, my iman is the iman of Jibreel alayhi salam. Same iman. Just like Jibreel believes in Allah, I believe in Allah. Regardless how much sins he does and fornication that he does, that's the Murji'ah. Because you can see here, people are Sunnah al Jama'ah, they are in the middle. They say the action is part of the iman, but it goes up and down. There's no such thing that your iman is like Jibreel alayhi salam. So the person who is obedient, he's got more iman than the one who is disobedient. But they're not outside the fold of Islam. That is the people of Al-Khawarij with the Irja. Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, he was saying to Dhar, Wayhaka ya Dhar, woe to you. Okay, this is the first person, Dhar ibn Abdullah al-Hamadani, is the first person who had emerged with this. He said to him, Ya Wayhaka ya Badar, ma hadha ad-din? What is this? Not Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, different, huh? So, Wayhaka ya Dhar, not Abu Dhar, Dhar. So Dhar, he said, well, it is something that I adopted, a saying that I've said and adopted. Then he says, إِنَّهُ لَدِينُ اللَّهِ الَّذِي بَعَثَ بِهِ نُوح. This is the deen that Allah sent Nuh with, which is his deen, subhanallah, which is the irja. The first person who spoke into the irja is Qais al-Masir, as Ibn al-Hajar as well, he said, أول من تكلم في الإرجاء. So we have a difference. Some of them they say Dhar, Ibn Abdullah al-Hamadani. Some of them they say Qais al-Masir. And some of them they say it's Hamad ibn Abi Sulaiman, Sheikh Abi Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi, and he is the student of Ibrahim al-Nakha'i. Al-Baghdadi, he said in his as well that it was at the end of the Sahaba, there was the Qadariyah taking place, and then the Istita'a, which is the ability from Ma'bad al-Juhani, wa Ghailan al-Dimashqi, wal-Ja'd al-Dirham, and then the companions like Abdullah ibn Umar, Jabir ibn Abdullah, Abu Hurairah ibn Abbas, Anas ibn Malik, Abdullah ibn Abi Awfa, Uqba ibn Abi Amr al-Juhani, and others as well. They have dissociated themselves from them. Okay, and they have actually told their generation, don't listen to them. Don't put your hands in their hands. And if they get ill, don't visit their ill. And when they die, do not go to their janazah. Then after that, it became the Mu'tazila. Well, Mu'tazila, they came with this called Al-Manzilah Bayd Al-Manzilatayn. This is a place between two places. So in this dunya, we don't call him a kafir, nor we call him a mu'min, which is the sinner. But in the hereafter, they are like the Khawarij. He's in hell. So the person who sins, a Mu'tazila say he is between two places. Khawarij says a kafir. In dunya and akhir, in hell. But those, they said, no, he is not a kafir in this dunya, but he is in the hellfire like the Khawarij in the hereafter. Okay? Right. So that's how the ilm al-kalam, you could say, had actually initiated. And on the hands of some like Jahm ibn Safwan, it was shaped and became like with some principles and bases and foundations. Why the madhab al-asha'ira is widely spread. This is what we're going to be discussing, inshallah, after the break. We'll break, inshallah, for 10 minutes and then we continue. Okay? 5 minutes. 5 minutes, please. minutes, an hour, I'm open for that. 20, you decide when we to stop. I'm not gonna, for me, I have got nothing to do in the morning. Nothing to do with the morning. So if you want it up to the Fajr, it's up to you. Yeah. طيب. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. All praise due to Allah, and my peace and blessings be upon His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I need to be fast in order to give you time for questions. What is the reason? This is a question. Why is it the madhab al-Ash'ari is spreading so much, more than any madhab and more than any all those Maturidis? Why most of the people now they call themselves Ash'ari? We need to ask this question, and we have no doubt that the Ash'ari madhab is actually the predominant madhab at the moment. Some say that if it is not the manhaj of Allah Azza wa Jal, how come that we find so many scholars adapting that methodology? Can I just, sisters, please pay attention? Jazakumullahu khairan. First of all, we say that why that so many scholars had adopted the madhab of the Ash'ari. You see that we say that because of their intellectual approach in proving or disproving the bid'ah of the Ahl al-Bid'ah, like the Mu'tazila, and they thinking that the way to hold on to the Quran and the Sunnah is by using the knowledge and the aql, is the reason or one of the reasons that made some of the scholars and fuqaha adopt such a madhab. Also, that the some of the sayings, or so many of the sayings of the Ash'ari is haqq and true. Not going to say that batil. I mean, so many things of the Ash'ari, could say majority of the sayings of the Ash'ari is correct. It's those things to do with the Aqidah, but not all the Aqidah. So when they're talking about the Aqidah, in terms of their, let's say, Al-Iman yazidu yanqus. Do you know that the Ash'ari say that the Iman goes up and down? The Ash'ari says that Iman goes up and down. So it's not, most of the Ash'ari sayings is synchronized with the people of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. That's why so many scholars had adopted it. Also, there are weakness in some of the proofs that has been adopted at that time to basically denounce or to weaken the shubuhat, the doubtful matters being thrown by the Ash'ari. So there wasn't enough proofs into the scholars at that time, moving around, rotating, to demolish the to disinfect those shubuhat, doubtful matters that the Ash'ari bring. Also, you could say the incapability. Some of the people of Ahl Sunnah, they were not into the place of control. That is why so many had adopted the madhab al-Ash'ari. And as why it is spread, not just, I would say, and adopted by the scholars, so many scholars, why is it spread amongst the Islamic world is because once the Mu'tazila is finished, straight away the Ash'ari came as the opponent. That's why they spread. Also, they were started at the Khilafah al-Abbasiyya in Baghdad. And most of the people, they were looking at Baghdad, it's like they're looking now at Saudi Arabia, the holders of the most holy place, which is Mecca. So Baghdad was the place of Khilafah al-Abbasiyya. So in which there are fuqaha, there are muhaddithun, okay? And this is the place where people used to make a journey just to go there, to listen, and to have knowledge. Imam Ahmad, Imam Abu Hanifa, lots of scholars. So when the Ash'ari madhab had started in Baghdad, okay, so many people adopted it. And so many people started to convey it, because as I said, people coming from all different directions. In contrast to the Maturidi madhab, which was at the same time with the madhab al-Ash'ari, but it did not spread as much, because the madhab al-Maturidi was beyond the rivers, okay? It was into the places which is the southern part of Russia. It was not in the place like Samarkand and all of these places. It was not in the Mediterraneans. So it's beyond the river. They call it Ma Ba'na al-Dahr. So Sha'ira madhab, it was so much spread into the Arabian Peninsula, the north of Africa, whereas the madhab of the Maturidi was in the Bukhara, Samarkand, and all of this area, the Maturidi. That's why the Maturidi was not as spreading as the Ash'ari. Also, some of the caliphates and some of the people who are in control, the leaders, they have adopted the Ash'ari madhab. Because of this, so many people had adopted it, and because of this, it spread so much more than the other madhab. So we have, for example, Al-Wazir Nizam al-Malik. He had controlled, or he took the ministry of the Salajiqa. I don't know what the Salajiqa in English. Seljuks, very close. Seljuks, sultans. Okay, so he had the wizara, the ministry, okay, and he stayed there for 30 years. This person has actually adopted the Ash'ari madhab. So Nizam al-Malik, he was upholding Sufism, Qushayri, Al-Juwayni, and all of these are imams of the madhab al-Ash'ira. So those the people that used to give the classes and the lessons, of course, on the madhab of Shafi'i. So the madhab is Shafi'i, but Shafi'i himself, he was not Ash'ari. And Imam Shafi'i was not Ash'ari. Okay, Abu Hanifa is the one for the Maturidi, but Abu Hanifa was not a Maturidi, if you understand me. Okay, Shafi'i and Imam Abu Hanifa were Salafis, all of them. So any person who's the madhab Shafi'i, you'll find him is most likely an Ash'ari. And the people who are Hanafi, most likely they are what? Maturidi. You have to know this. Al-Mahdi bin Tomart, Mahdi al-Muwahhidin, he is also in the 6th century who died. He had called for the Ash'ari madhab, and that is why he was a big role in spreading that madhab. Then we come to those Zinki, which is Nuruddin Mahmud bin Zinki, the one who had fought the Crusades. And also after him, we had as well the Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi. All of those had adopted the madhab al-Ash'ari, but they had a big role in fighting those aqa'id al-Batiniyya. What is that called, Dr. Farasit? Batini aqa'id. Batini aqa'id like Ismailiyya, the ones who are not Muslims. They pretend they look like Muslims, but they're not. They're called aqa'id al-Batiniyya, secret creeds. They've got secret. I don't know how to call them in English. So al-aqa'id al-Batiniyya, like al-Fatimiyya, al-Ubaydiyun, they're not Muslims. They're called Fatimiyun. They were in Egypt and they were in the north of Africa as well. Those, the people who are the first people who had introduced actually the Mawlid of the Prophet ﷺ. Those, they are aqa'id batini. They pretend that they are Muslims, but actually they are against Islam. They will cooperate with any non-Muslim to kill the Muslims. So he had a big effect. Muhammad ibn Nur Zinki and also Salah ad-Din Ayyubi, those, they had a big effect in fighting those aqa'id. From the also the reasons why the madhab al-Ash'ari spread is that many scholars had depended upon it, they championed it, especially the fuqaha of the Shafi'iyya, secondly Malikiyya. Shafi'i and Malikiyya, from the latest one, like I'll give you names now, Al-Baqillani, Ibn Fawrak, Al-Bayhaqi, well-known names, Al-Isfarayini, Al-Shirazi, Al-Juwayni, Al-Qushayri, Al-Baghdadi, Al-Ghazali, Al-Razi, Al-Amidi, even Al-Izz ibn Abd al-Salam, the Sultan of the scholars, Al-Izz ibn Abd al-Salam. Also, Badr al-Din ibn Jama'ah, Al-Subki. Lots of people who adopted from these big, massive names, the Ash'ari madhab. So you need to know that those had a big effect in spreading the Ash'ari. Even some of them, they had to spread it in the area of the Maghrib, Moroccan area, which is between the Malikis, because the Maliki was there. So they adopted the Maliki madhab. So we have Abu Bakr al-Abhuri, al-Baqillani, and all his students as well. And also al-Baji, Ibn Arabi, Ibn al-Arabi. Also, they were adopting that. So we have so many of their big, massive names, star names, had adopted such such a party, such sect, which is such Aqidah al-Ash'ariyya, and why this madhab al-Ash'ari had spread a lot. Now we come to al-Maturidiyya. We come now to al-Maturidiyya. Al-Maturidiyya is also firqa from firqa al-Kalam. Kalam. and it was attributed to Abu Mansur al-Maturidi. It was established upon the intellectual proofs and kalam in when it debates with its enemies. From there are fightings of the Mu'tazila and the Jahmiyyah. The same thing as the Masha'ira came to fight the Mu'tazila and the Jahmiyyah. The same thing also the Maturidiyya did the same thing. As Abu Mansur, he was al-Maturidi because of a city in Samarkand. It's called Maturid. Okay. Samarkand, he's a Hanafi. And he was called the Imam al-Huda wa Alam al-Huda. He was the Imam of the Mutakallimin at this time. As for his date of birth, scholars had differed because there is nothing there documented. But we know that some of his shuyukh and their shuyukh, their death was documented. So we know that he was at least 10 years old before his sheikh died. So roughly he was born at the year 238 Hijrah. So in the 3rd century. As for his death, it was 100 years after that, 333. So 238, some scholars said 258 because they don't really say that Muqatil al-Razi is to be not his sheikh. Because of that, they say no, only Nusayr ibn Yahya al-Balkhi, he is his sheikh, which had died 268, which make him 258. Regardless, he had taken his knowledge, al-fiqh al-Hanafi, and then this kalam, ilm al-kalam. And that is from his big sheikh, Nasr ibn Yahya al-Balkhi. That is his big sheikh. He took as well from the big scholars of the Hanafi, Abu Nasr al-Iyad, and others. Also al-Jawzajani, which is well known as well, until he became from the scholars of the Ahnaf. And then some of the people who were students of his had learned from him. Abu Mansur, he had lots of debates with the Mu'tazila. And he was just like the Asha'ira in the same target to fight the Mu'tazila. And he actually was in the same contemporary with the Asha'ira. As for the Aqidah, he was in synchronization with the Aqidah of Abu Hanifa in its entirety. But he does differ from him in some of the matters. So he had made lots of books. One of them, Bayan Wahm al-Mu'tazila, Ta'wilat Ahl al-Sunnah, so on and so forth. He just made some books here. I've got them in front of me here if you wish to take them. He was called the Imam of the Sunnah fi Mawara' al-Nahr, beyond the river, and Imam al-Huda. He stood in front of the Mu'tazila. Now, the reasons why the Maturidiyya had spread is the most strongest one is that some of the sultans had adopted the Maturidiyya. And those are the ones who are from the kings at his place who adopted from the Madhab al-Hanafi. So they have straight away adopted the Maturidiyya, and that's why Maturidiyya had been spread. So because the Maturidiyya were actually representing the Madhab al-Hanafi, this is why they spread as well. So if you are Hanafi, then by equation, by default, you have to be Maturidi. Of course, every Maturidi Hanafi, but not every Hanafi is Maturidi. But at that time, most of the Hanafis are Maturidis. And it's known by the history, the second reason why they spread, that any presidents or people who are in charge or in control that are affiliated to a certain madhab, that madhab will spread straight away, very quickly. If they adapt that madhab. So if they adapted the Sufism will spread. If they adapt Maturidism, Maturidism will flow and it will spread straight away. Now, as for the differ from the Asha'ira, they say Iman does not decrease or increase. So the Maturidis, not like the Asha'ira. Asha'ira say the Iman decrease and increase. So the Maturidis, which we call them Murji'atul Fuqaha. The Murji'a from what? The Fuqaha. The Murji'a from the Fuqaha. They say Iman is saying and creed in the Aqidah, but the actions are the fruit of it. It's not part of it. Do you understand that? The action is not part of the definition of the Iman. It's actually the fruit of it. So that's why they say your Iman is like the Iman of Jibreel alayhi salam. Because for them, Iman does not go up and down, like the Ash'ari. Okay? Now, so they are from the people of Al-Kalam. Now we're coming to the last one. I can't talk about Sophia and Rafida and the lots of them. I'll talk about the Murji'ah. Murji'ah. Murji'ah means arja'a. It means that you have delayed. Arja al-amal an musamma al-imam. He had delayed and put behind the deeds. Iman, it does not comprise the deeds. That's the Murji'ah. And it's coming from the word قالوا أرجه وأخاه. So this is in the ayah, in Surah Shu'ara. That means أرجه, that means make him to be delayed. من الرجاء. طيب. المرجئة are of two groups. One which is not known that much and one which is known. The ones who had delayed the matter of Ali and Uthman, this is not the one we're talking about. But the matter of Ali and Uthman, that means what Ali had done and what Uthman radiallahu anh done. And the other one, the Murji'ah, is the one who say Iman which has no actions. That's the Murji'ah. Okay, so the Murji'ah is Iman, no actions. قول بلا عمل. Iman is just a saying without an action. Action is not part of it. So you could fornicate, doesn't affect your Iman. طيب, Al-Irja', how did it start? As I said, Umar, well, the first fitna and then the second fitna. First fitna is what Hudayfa bin Yaman told us about. That we were with Umar bin Khattab, the caliphate, and he said, who is amongst you who memorizes the hadith of the Prophet of Allah for the fitna? So I said, it's me. I said, well, he said to him, maybe you are daring yourself to say it. Lillahi abuk, may your father maybe will be happy with you. What a man you are. So he said, I've heard the Prophet ﷺ saying, fitnatul rajul, the fitna of the man in his family, in his wealth, in his self, in his neighbor, in his children. This will be expiated by the fast and the salah, the sadaqah. So he said, I'm not talking about this fitna. I'm talking about the fitna that waves like the sea. He said, why do you want to ask about it, O leader of the believers? For very between you and that fitna, there is a gate, and it's locked. So he said, Umar, is this lock is going to be broken or it's going to be open? He said, it's going to be broken. He said, oh, it will never close at all, ever. So when he left, we said to Hudayfa, the ones who are around, does Umar know who's that gate? He said, yes, just like he knows that tonight is before tomorrow. Tonight is before tomorrow. So I have said to him a hadith, which has not been mistakes. We were scared to ask Hudayfa, who is that gate? We sent Masruq to go and ask him. Umar, he said, the gate is Umar. So how does the gate is going to be broken? Is the killing and assassination of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. This Pharisee, Magian, Persian, Al-Hurmuzan, he's the one, Abu Lu'lu'ah, who had basically fulfilled the wish of his, the wish of his master, and he had killed Umar al-Khattab while he was praying. And also, this didn't stop. Later on, we have Abdullah ibn Saba, the Jewish person who embraced Islam, which was not, pretended to embrace Islam, and he had called for the killing of Uthman, and then he made Ali ibn Abi Talib to be the god. Like he is actually, we need to make Ali ibn Abi Talib like he's like a god. Like this is basically the Murji'ah. And as I said, we have the Murji'ah, and we have opposite to them. We have the Jabriya, and we have opposite to them. We have as well the Sophia, and we have Sophia is too many, and we have the Rafida Shia. Okay, and by this, alhamdulillah, we came to just say a conclusion to say that there's no way for us to say that the 72 groups are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because from one place to another they differ, and we haven't got yet the end of the days. Still days are going on, and still groups are coming as well. So I have said to you, for example, there was something which hasn't been adopted before. You know, the Mu'tazila, they say that the person, if he's a sinner, he's in this dunya between two slices, and in the akhirah is in hellfire. There's another person came up with this one, which is in this dunya he is a kafir, but in the hereafter he's between two places. Wallah, he said that. So that's another group now. So he's not Mu'tazila. He's Mu'tazila mukhanatha. Between. Well, he said that. He said that he is in this dunya kafir, but in the akhirah we don't know. So there is between manzila bayna manzilatayn. Allah al-musta'an. So until today and tomorrow, the groups are still, and new ideas coming as well. Ideas. Some of them synchronize, some of them they don't synchronize. So some of the Sha'ira they took from the Mu'tazila, they took from the Jahmiyyah. Cocktail. Huh? Lots of aqidah. By this, alhamdulillah, come to the end. If you have any questions regarding what we heard, please, jazakumullah khairan. I'll start with Dr. Rasid, fadl. This is one scholar. He's called Muqbil al-Yamani. Had wanted to resolve the dispute that comes to the mind. How come that the Jannah majority of them is Ummah Muhammad? Yet, Prophet of Allah said, we're going to split it to 73, 72 in hell and 1 in paradise. That means most of the people are in hell. He's saying that this is not related to the numbers. So the 72 going to go to hell in number, they're not going to be as many as the ones which are the saved sect. Because the saved sect includes al-awam. Al-awam, those people who don't know anything, they are from al-sunnah. They're not from al-bid'ah. They want to know nothing. By the way, we have a Christmas tree here. I just saw it right now. I was blind. Are we celebrating it or something? Should be here when we're teaching the class. Allah musta'an. Yeah, okay. You could put it on the other side. Allah musta'an. Because you're looking at you, I'm just seeing it now. Right. So you don't ask me the groups, so I'll tell you the groups of it. So majority of the sunnah, and then this is the majority, and then the majority, which is the minority, the specific ones. The specific ones are of four categories. One, Ahlul Bid'ah, they call for their bid'ah. Two, the ones who adopt their bid'ah, but yet they believe in the haqq. Three, the ones who memorize from the haqq and the batil. They've got sayings from the Ahlul Sunnah, sayings from the, okay? And the fourth one, which is the one upon Salaf Manhaj. So those four groups, okay, exclude the first one, Ahlul Bid'ah, they call the bid'ah. You got these three groups, still they're going to go to paradise as well because Allah's mercy upon them. Definitely Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they are the ones that saved sect, which is with the majority of the groups, which is Ahlul Sunnah, and also the other two groups, which is adopting and memorizing. Okay, Allah's mercy can encompass them. And not only that, from the first category of this minority, which is the one that calls to the bid'ah, maybe somebody will repent. Maybe somebody had his bid'ah because he had nobody to tell him this is a bid'ah. This is the way forward to the deen. So we end up that the majority, they will be in Jannah. Do you understand me? So the 72 sects, it doesn't mean there are a people number more than the saved sect. Second, so the first Ahlul Bid'ah, the ones who call to their bid'ah. Like Mu'tazila, Khawarij, they call to their bid'ah. The ones who they believe in the haqq inside themselves. But at the same time, they are championing their bid'ah because of maybe they are in the same family, in the same tribe. They can't do anything about it. They believe in the haqq. But in the outside of theirs, they're supporters of this bid'ah. They're not saying anything against it. The other ones, they're not scholars. If they're scholars, they wouldn't know the haqq. They're in between. So they want the haqq, so they memorize some of the bid'ah. They say, for example, some kalam, and at the same time, they have Quran and Sunnah at the same time. Okay, that's the third group. And lots of them, these people. Allahu Akbar. Is that understood now? Anybody? Fadal, maybe. No. They are the majority of Ahl Jannah. Minority in the 73, as in the number. But the majority, they are the majority of the people. That's how you resolve this. They are the majority, but they are the minority in the hadith. Because 72 against 1. But the 72, all of them, very few. They are Ahl Shubuhat, very few. So So many people from the people of Ash'ari, they are contributing themselves Ash'ari, but they don't know what is Ash'ari. They think this is what? That this is the haqq. So they are from Ahl Sunnah. Because they have no knowledge. So they were in an environment, most of the shuyukh that you got, for example, Al-Baqillani, Al-Imam Al-Bayhaqi, where you going to go? Salahuddin, Rahimahullah, and all of those. Where are you going to go? So you're going with the stream. They think, because they are against Ahl al-Bid'ah, the big ones which are like the Batiniyah, against them, so they think that they are the haqq. So they are from Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah as well. Okay? Al-Imam, the leader Salah ad-Din, he didn't find, when he was a kid, Salah ad-Din, if you look at his biography, when he was a kid, he was being given his sheikh's aqidah to memorize. Even he had memorized the Fakhr al-Razi aqidah of his memory when he was a kid. How is he going to be split himself from that? He was in his youth. He got it. He drank it. Nobody came to him to say to him, Ahl Sunnah is this and Ahl Sunnah. Nobody. He grew up onto this. And he thought this is the haqq. So he had school to teach Quran on the madhab al-Shafi'i. But at the same time, Ash'ariyah with it. But, I mean, who's going to say something wrong against Salah ad-Din, rahimahullah? The one who had cleansed, until today, he's known to the Crusades. He's known to the Christians. They know Salah ad-Din. They know him. There was a person who was on the other side from the Romans, was respecting even Salah ad-Din. King Richard, that's the one. Yeah, Qalb al-Asad, they call it, the heart of the lion. That's his nickname, Qalb al-Asad. He used to respect Salah ad-Din. Salah ad-Din was powerful. And in the crusade, they understand that he's the one who demolished their empire, but they know that he was a man. They know that he's a man. What? King Richard. Oh, because they like him. They like his biography. Yeah, but it shows. I mean, they could claim whatever they want to claim. He was buried in a Muslim cemetery anyway. But at least they attribute to him that he's a good man. Yeah, they love him. Salah ad-Din, there was a friend of mine. He was in charge of a masjid which was leading to Mount Nebo. Mount Nebo claims that Isa alayhi salam went there. Actually, it's a tourist place in my city. It was a place which was being deserted. Nothing there. I know it when I was a kid. But when it became a tourist place, it's been rebuilt, made nice. Now tickets to go in. Okay. They have refurbished the whole thing. So on the way to go to there, so it's outside my city. It's about maybe 7-8 miles outside my city. On the way to there, he built a masjid. And the masjid there, against the wish and the will of the Ministry of Endowment, he called it Salahuddin Mosque. Just to remind the tourists. He called it Masjid Salah. And he had a fight on his hand. Because most of the one who passes through, they are going to be the Christians. Maybe they will have some sort of offended by this. He said, no, this is history, and we need to put it. So he said, Masjid Salahuddin, and the first masjid which has its name also in English. We don't have any masjid in English, all of it in Arabic. But this one is being made in English, so make sure that you read it. You don't read Arabic. With big, massive words. Masjid Salahuddin. Massive, as big as this, mashallah. So, alhamdulillah, he wants to revive the history and to remind them. Salahuddin, rahmatullah alayhi. I wish that all the Ash'ari was like Salahuddin. If I have a wish, all the Ash'ari to be like Salahuddin. As I said, he was brought up when he was a kid onto the madhab. He drank it. He was memorizing the aqidah. Right, fadal.
You gave a list of names of the major scholars of the Ash'ari, the classical scholars. What is the position of the scholars of Ahl Sunnah when it comes to those scholars? Do we consider them?
They take from their knowledge. We have Sunan al-Bayhaqi, al-Kubra wal-Sughra, Sunan al-Bayhaqi, Imam al-Bayhaqi, Kitab al-Asma' wal-Sifat, Imam al-Bayhaqi. Okay, Imam al-Bayhaqi is a great scholar for us. We take from their knowledge. They attribute Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani to be Ash'ari. Who is not Ash'ari? He's got some concept from the Ash'ari, but he's not Ash'ari. Imam al-Nawawi, rahimahullah, he got some concept from the Ash'ari. But if you look carefully, if you look carefully, for example, in his Sharh al-Imam Muslim, he is taken away from the Ash'ari. He stated something from the Ahl Salaf, but he was confused. Remember, at that time, he was not having a lot of sayings of Ahl Sunnah, rotating and swimming amongst the scholars. That's why they adopted these things. But we don't call them the full Ash'ari intellectual, okay? Full follower of Imam Ash'ari and Hasan Ash'ari. We have number of times, and Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah, he attribute descendants to the Almighty. Yes, he said as well, the descendants of his rahmah and mercy, which is Ash'ariyah. The Imam ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, regarding the Ash'ari, because the Ash'ari as well of two types. One which is alter, and the other one which says, I don't know. Do you understand me? Some of the Ash'ari, again, the attributes, they alter. Like, for example, they say, yad means power. Hands means what? Power. Some of them say, for example, the descendants of his mercy. And others, they say that we don't know the real meaning of it. Do you understand? And that's Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani from that type. He's not from the type he says to alter, to change the meaning of it, to say descendants of his mercy. Okay? He says Allahu A'lam. But we Ahl Sunnah, we know the meaning. But we say Allahu A'lam regarding the how he descends. But as for the meaning, we know descendants is opposite to ascendance. We know the meaning of the foot, we know the meaning of the hand, the shin, everything. We know the meaning of it. But the how, we don't know. Allahu A'lam. Now, so we respect them, these scholars, and we take from their knowledge. And as for their aqidah they died upon, we give it to Allah, leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're Muslims. Okay? And remember, if he's a scholar and he had strived to arrive to the haqq, then he will have what? One reward. And if he's wrong, so if he's right, he'll have two rewards. If he's wrong, he'll have what? One reward. It's fluctuating between one and two rewards. Never been sinned. Because he's a scholar. Now. Athari. Athari means Ahlul Athar. Athari means, Athar means like a hadith. إن استطعت أن تحك رأسك بأثر فافعل. You're able to scratch your head with an athar. That means the hadith of the Prophet, then use it. So the athar is hadith. But some of the scholars who came later on differentiated between hadith and athar. Hadith is the Prophet, athar from the companions. Okay, some scholars have differentiated. But others, they said athar is the hadith. Hadith is athar. So al-muhaddith, al-athari, it's the same one. Yeah, athar means, the athar is the word athar. In Arab means a trace. Athar, trace. You left a trace for yourself. So the athar is the trace of the Prophet ﷺ. But as I said, some of the muhaddithin, okay, they have differentiated between the ones who had come like Imam al-Tirmidhi. He said athar is for the ones which are more, the Sahaba. And hadith is for the Prophet ﷺ. Okay? Now, but more in all, athar, every hadith is a hadith and athar, but not every athar is a hadith. According to them. Shaykh al-Halabi used to call Shaykh al-Halabi al-Athari. What group is? Yeah, the majority of the people are with us. Yes. The majority of the people are more than Ash'ari. Don't you ever think that people who lies or lives in an Ash'ari state, they are Ash'ari? Do you understand that? Don't you ever think that people who reside in Pakistan, that they are Hanafis? No. They are adopting some from the Hanafis, but they're not Hanafis. Because they were raised in this area. If you ask them, what's the name of Abu Hanifa? They don't know. Wallah, they don't. And I'm saying by Allah and I know. They don't know what's the name of Abu Hanifa. They only know what distinguishes Abu Hanifa? Putting the hands below the navel. That's Hanafi. When he prays, put the right on the left, that's Hanafi. Because if you don't see you like this, you are Wahhabi. Okay? So that's the Hanafi for them. Hanafi is like this. And also, blood, if it comes out, it will nullify your wudu. That's the Hanafi for them. It's two things, small things. As to go deep into the Hanafi madhab, they don't know. If you say to them, by the way, Abu Hanifa and his students, yes, lots of scholars. Ibn Abdin, we got Haskafi, we got as well Abu Yaqub, Yusuf, Muhammad Shabella. These scholars of his, they say that khamr, the wine made from other than the grapes, as long as it doesn't give you drunkenness, is halal. You could drink beer as long as you get drunk. That's in the Hanafi. Why you do not say that? He doesn't know that. But he said it. Because he doesn't want to make the companions to be corrupted. Because according to him, the companions drank that wine which is made from the dates in Kufa. The wine of the Kufa was nothing to do with the grapes. They don't have grapes in Iraq. They have all of it what? Dates. The date country is called. Iraq is full of dates. They don't have grapes. Grapes goes to the Mediterranean area. So the Palestine, but they don't have grapes. So all their wine and all their juices is made from what? Dates. So because he thinks that what came to him, that the companion, like Abdullah Masud, used to drink date juice, which is like wine, and it has been intoxicant. So if I may say it's haram, that means I'm making Abdullah Masud as well to be rebellious. That's why he said it. Otherwise, if he knew the haqq, he would never say this is halal. So those people who are, this is the answer to your question, in an Ash'ari country or Hanafi country or whatever, don't you think that all the majority is Hanafi? This is just the name Hanafi. But they don't know understand Hanafi. They are Ahlul Sunnah. As long as he does not attribute himself to a particular deviant sect and he knows about it. Because remember the 34 groups we mentioned? Some of them, they go with them because they were born there. But they, in the Sada heart, they believe in the haqq. They want haqq. But they didn't know. They were not directed to the haqq. But they think this is the haqq. Nobody gave them the other option. It's one option in front of them. That's why they are the majority. You understand me now? إخواني, when we say بدأ الإسلام غريبا وسيعود غريبا كما بدأ, Islam is going to start strange and is going to end up strange like it was started. This is in Islam is in entirety, not just Islam in its very precise concepts that we're adopting here. Like you pray, it becomes like strange. Your fasting becomes strange. You understand me? It becomes ghareeb, Islam. The thing which is common in Islam becomes what? Strange. So music, it becomes dancing, it becomes nothing. No problem. That's the thing. It's not to do with too much Hanafis we have and too much Shafi'is we have. Okay? Now, you know that the Shafi'is and the Hanafis, they've got children, they recite Qur'ans. I teach my children into a Hanafi, strict school. Okay? I teach my children there. Yeah, and I tell them, you say that you are Shafi'i madhab. They will not teach him the Maturidi Aqidah. Khalas. Say I'm Shafi'i madhab, that's it. Alhamdulillah. You understand what I'm saying? Now. تفضل يا splitting the sects. Aqidah must be. It has to be. If it's not the Aqidah, that's why we don't say فرقة الشافعية, فرقة الأحناف. We don't say that because Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi'i, and Imam Ahmad, and Imam Malik, all of them are one Aqidah. Whereas Abu Maturidi is different from the Ja'd ibn Dirham, is different from Jahm ibn Safwan, is different from Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari. They are Aqidah. But it doesn't mean just the difference in the Aqidah. No, there's difference in the Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, in Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, Tawheed al-Asma' al-Sifat, in the Aqidah in general. Lots of differences, not just, lots of differences. Yes, in there. But the Aqidah is the main one. Yes, you have to. Otherwise, if there's no difference in the Aqidah, no, this is the school of thought. School of thought.